We're quickly approaching the end of our OHL history series as we go season by season, looking at what makes the OHL what it is today, from relocations and milestones to OHL champions. And today it brings us to the 2018-19 OHL season. We're also close to the end, which means we're getting only a few weeks away from the start of OHL training camp for the 2025-26 season. So let's dive into it because right now, pretty status quo when it comes to teams in the OHL, 20 playing a 68-game schedule. So let's look at the OHL standings. Starting off the West Division, the Saginaw Spirit, they would lead the way with a record of 45-17-3-3 for 96 points, while the Sioux Greyhounds right there with them, but the Spirit, they would get the tiebreak as the Greyhounds finish with a record of 44-16-7-1, also 96 points. The Sarnia Sting would come third with a record of 28-33-5-2 for 63 points, while the Windsor Spitfires fourth with a record of 25-33-5-5, 60 points. And the Flint Firebirds, bottom of the division, and they would miss the playoffs with a record of 16-46-6-0 for 38 points. In the Midwest Division, the London Knights lead the way once again with a record of 46-15-6-1, 99 points. The Guelph Storm second with a record of 40-18-6-4, 90 points. The Kitchener Rangers, they would finish third with a record of 34-33-1, 72 points. The Owen Sound Attack, fourth in the division, 31-31-4-2, 68 points. And missing out on the playoffs would be the Erie Otters, who finished fifth with a record of 26-38-3-1, 56 points. Over in the Central Division, the Niagara Ice Dogs, they took top spot with a record of 44-17-7, 95 points. Sudbury Wolves, second with a record of 43-23-2, 91 points. The Mississauga Steelheads, they were third with a record of 32-29-5-2 for 71 points. While the North Bay Battalion, fourth with a record of 30-33-3-2, 65 points. And missing out on the playoffs would be the Barrie Colts with a record of 26-38-3-1 for 56 points. And leading the way in the East Division, it was a great season for the Ottawa 67s. 50-12-4-2 is their record for 106 points. Second, Oshawa with a record of 44-20-4 for 92 points. The Peterborough Petes, they would come third with a record of 33-31-3-1 for 70 points. While the Hamilton Bulldogs fourth with a record of 29-34-3-2, 63 points. And missing out on the playoffs, the Kingston Frontenacs, who had a record of 14-52-1-1 for 30 points. Now, doing this series, it kind of gives you more of an appreciation of some of the league's more established franchises, especially a team like the Ottawa 67s. And this season, it stands out because it was a record year for them with points. And Andre Tourigny, he was given a lot of credit for his systems during this time. So Ottawa really leaving their mark in the OHL this season. And it was also a dominant season from the Ice Dogs, who had set a franchise record for goals with 326. However, it wasn't all good news for Niagara, as they would be fined late in the season $250,000 for breaking the standard player agreement for giving side deals to players. So this was the start of some turbulent times for the Niagara Ice Dogs, and the fine would be reduced to $100,000, but they lost their first round pick in 2021. So we're going to be discussing some Niagara Ice Dogs information over these next few videos. Mark Hunter, though, he would return to the London Knights prior to the start of the regular season after he resigned from his position with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the Hunters, they had their break. Dale Hunter with Washington and Mark Hunter with Toronto, and both would eventually return to London and continue to have some success at the junior hockey level. Looking at the top scorers for the 2018-19 season, Jason Robertson had a monster year. He split time between Kingston and Niagara. 48 goals, 69 assists, 117 points. Second in scoring was Justin Brazeau of the North Bay Battalion. 61 goals, which is unreal. 52 assists, 113 points. Third in scoring was Ty Fellaber of the Ottawa 67s. 59 goals, 50 assists for 109 points. Morgan Frost of the Sioux Greyhounds was fourth in scoring, 37 goals, 72 assists, 109 points. Kevin Hancock of the Owen Sound Attack, he would also spend time with the London Knights, 52 goals, 55 assists, 107 points. Arthur Kaliev of the Hamilton Bulldogs had 51 goals, 51 assists for 102 points. Ben Jones, seventh in scoring from Niagara, 41 goals, 61 assists, 102 points. Also with 102 points was Akil Thomas of the Niagara Ice Dogs, 38 goals, 64 assists, 102 points. Ninth in scoring, Nate Schnarr of the Guelph Storm, 34 goals, 68 assists for 102 points. And rounding out the top 10 would be Greg Morales of the Kitchener Rangers, 36 goals, 61 assists for 97 points. Looking at the playoff bracket, starting in the Western Conference, the London Knights, they took the top seed and they would sweep the Windsor Spitfires, while the Saginaw Spirit, they would complete the 4-game series sweep of the Sarnia Sting. The Sioux Greyhounds, they would need 5 games to take care of the Owen Sound Attack, while the Guelph Storm, no problems against Kitchener as they would complete the series sweep. Over in the Eastern Conference, the Ottawa 67's momentum carried over into the playoffs, and they would complete the sweep of the Hamilton Bulldogs. Well, the Niagara Ice Dogs, they needed 5 games to eliminate the North Bay Battalion. The Oshawa Generals took care of Peterborough in 5 games, while the Sudbury Wolves would complete the series sweep of the Mississauga Steelheads. Going into the second round of the playoffs, the London Knights run would come to an end as the Guelph Storm, they would take this series in 7 games, so a bit of an upset there. Then the Saginaw Spirit and Sioux Greyhounds would renew their rivalry, with the Spirit taking this series in 6 games. In the Eastern Conference, the Ottawa 67s complete another series sweep, this time over the Sudbury Wolves, while the Oshawa Generals, they would eliminate Niagara in 6 games. For the conference final, starting in the West, the Saginaw Spirit, they had home ice advantage, but it would be the Guelph Storm winning this series yet again in 7 games. This Storm team on a mission, while the Ottawa 67s undefeated through 3 rounds as they would complete the series sweep of the Oshawa Generals. Now, in the OHL final between the Ottawa 67s and the Guelph Storm, Ottawa had a 2-0 series lead. They won both their games on home ice, and then the Guelph Storm took over, and they would win this series in 6 games. It was a magical season for the Ottawa 67s, but they just could not get it done as the Guelph Storm, they were a team of destiny come playoff time, winning the series in 6 games. And I know I said it in previous videos, but this Guelph Storm organization, probably the most underrated in the Canadian Hockey League, just finding ways to win championships. So their second championship in the 2010s, and they do it in convincing fashion over the Ottawa 67s in 2019. The Memorial Cup for this year, the Halifax Mooseheads, they were the host. So you'd have the Storm Mooseheads joined by the Rouyn-Noranda Huskies and the Prince Albert Raiders from the Western Hockey League. The Storm, they finished the round robin with a record of 2-1, so a very good run for them. And then they would have to face the Huskies in the semifinal, where their run would come to an end as they would lose 6-4 to Rouyn-Noranda. The Huskies, though, they would then go on to win their very first Memorial Cup, defeating the host Halifax Mooseheads by a score of 4-2. And to note, Mario Pouliot, he became the first head coach to win back-to-back Memorial Cups with 2 different teams. In 2018, he won it with Acadie Bathurst, and then now in 2019 with the Rouyn-Noranda Huskies. And what's also to note for this series, at the time of recording, he is now the head coach of the Oshawa Generals. So Pouliot, he has a championship pedigree, and for Generals fans right now, I think they're looking forward to what Pouliot could bring for the future of this Oshawa hockey team. Looking at the award winners before we wrap up for the 2018-19 season, starting off with the Matt Layden Trophy, that would be Coach of the Year, Andre Tourigny of the Ottawa 67s. No surprise there. He was just outstanding with this team. The Red Tilson Trophy for Most Outstanding Player, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen of the Sudbury Wolves. You don't usually see the Red Tilson go to a goaltender, but Luukkonen, well-deserving for what he was able to do between the pipes for the Sudbury Wolves. The Eddie Powers would go to Jason Robertson, who split time between Kingston and Niagara. The Dave Pickney Trophy, Cedric Andre and Michael DiPietro. They would share that award for the Ottawa 67s. The Max Kaminsky Trophy for Most Outstanding Defenseman, Evan Bouchard of the London Knights, while the Jim Mahan Memorial Trophy went to Justin Brazeau from North Bay. Your Ems Family Award, so Rookie of the Year, Quinton Byfield of the Sudbury Wolves. He was a beast with Sudbury in his junior days. The William Hanley Trophy would go to Nick Suzuki, who split time between Owen Sound and Guelph. Big reason why Guelph, despite being the 4th seed, would go on to win the OHL Championship. A big trade between the Storm and the Attack at the OHL trade deadline, and Nick Suzuki, a big part of that deal, and would be recognized for his efforts. The Bobby Smith Trophy would go to Thomas Harley of the Mississauga Steelheads. The Overage Player of the Year, Justin Brazeau of the North Bay Battalion. The Goaltender of the Year, no surprise, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen of the Sudbury Wolves. Ren's the Red Tilson MVP, so you might as well bring in the OHL Goaltender of the Award as well. The Dan Snyder would go to Nicholas Kanad of the Mississauga Steelheads. The Roger Nielsen Award would go to Sasha Chmielewski of the Ottawa 67s. And the Jack Ferguson would go to Shane Wright of the Kingston Frontenacs, who was drafted first overall in the upcoming draft. While the Wayne Gretzky 99 Award for playoff MVP, Nick Suzuki of the Guelph Storm. So the 2018-19 season, it looked as though the Barber Pools were destined to win another OHL championship, but the Guelph Storm just finding ways to win in the playoffs in 7 games over London and Saginaw, and then coming back to defeat Ottawa for the J. Ross Robertson Cup. A job well done for the Storm, and just another championship to add to their resume. So if there's anything that stands out to you from this season that you'd like to share in the comments down below, greatly appreciate it, as this is meant to be a community for junior hockey fans, and more particularly OHL fans, as that's the league that I cover. Cannot wait to get the 25-26 season underway. Like I said earlier, we're just a few weeks away from training camp now at the time that this video goes live. So thank you very much for all your support. If you have not yet clicked subscribe, may I encourage you to do so. It helps the channel grow and gets this channel out to more viewers who are fans of the OHL. Great to see all the participation, and we'll talk to you again soon.